Okay, we are live.
Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Lawrence Township Council being held on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, has been provided through the posting of the annual meeting schedule of the said council in accordance with Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Said notice was forwarded to the Trentonian, the Times, and the Princeton Packet on December 19, 2024. I would like to take this time to just give just a few brief remarks for the new year. I apologize that our last meeting I did not get an opportunity to address the public, and I just wanted to give a few words in wishing everyone a happy new year. It is with honor to address you as we begin the 2025 year, reflecting on the progress that we have made and looking forward to the exciting future of Lawrence Township. To our incredible community, whether you reside in the Colonial Lakes, Society Hill, Everett's Crossing, or Eldridge Park, or any other cherished part of our township, thank you for your trust, engagement, and dedication. Lawrence thrives because of all of you in council. I also would like to extend my gratitude to the community leaders, township employees, and employers who work tirelessly to make Lawrence a great place to live, work, and grow. The most recent display of our township at work are the employees who work through the night to plow and salt our roads. We extend deep gratitude to the Public Works Department, police, and also I did not give a chance to thank the Recreation Department, led by Nancy Birkin and her team and committee for the wonderful work that they did for the Christmas celebrations, the tree lighting, and our very popular trolley rides. As we embrace the possibilities of 2025, it's important that we reflect on the successes of our past year. Together, we've achieved remarkable milestones that continue to shape our township for the better. I just wanted to begin by acknowledging the hard work and dedication of our council members, included here today, Councilwoman Perry, Councilman Bobbitt, and Councilman Kanaki, and in his absence, Councilman Ryan. Their leadership and collaboration have been instrumental in advancing our township's priorities, and we are thankful for that. Okay, as we look forward to the visions for the coming year, we want to honor our history, economic progress, and the things to come. And as we move more forward in 2025, I am filled with the optimism we all are for the opportunities ahead. Together, we will honor our past, embrace our change, and create a township that works for everyone. Thank you for your trust, your partnership, and your commitment to Lawrence Township. May this year bring unity, progress, and prosperity to our community. Thank you. And with that, Madam Clerk, if you could read to us an inspiration.
May we carry out our work at this meeting in a just, honorable, and sincere manner, always bearing in mind our duties and continuing to keep Lawrence a wonderful community in which to live. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt.
Here.
Mr. Kanaki.
Here.
Ms. Perry. Here. Mr. Ryan cannot be with us this evening for personal reasons. Mayor Farmer.
Here. And now we will have a special presentation by our municipal planner, Ms. Beth McManus, and also she will present on the Lawrence Township fourth round of the affordable housing obligation. Ms. McManus.
Thank you very much, folks. So tonight I wanted to talk about the fourth round of affordable housing, and one of the items on your agenda is adoption of a resolution that really accomplishes two things. First, and I guess first and foremost, it declares your participation in the fourth round of affordable housing. And two, it declares your fourth round obligation, the affordable housing obligation for the community. And it's some brief background. This resolution is necessary prior to the end of the month in order for the township to maintain its immunity from exclusionary zoning litigation or builder's remedy litigation. And so that is protection that the township has enjoyed historically, I think going back many decades now. It is my strong recommendation that we continue that. It maintains the ability to control our own zoning. But beyond that, for the fourth round, we have this 10-year period that's upon us, the fourth round of affordable housing from 2025 through 2035. And in order to maintain that immunity, yes, we need to adopt a resolution, but more importantly, we've got to prepare a housing element and fair share plan that sets forth how it is that we'll meet that obligation. And this resolution is just simply the first step. We had an amendment to the Fair Housing Act earlier this year, and that amendment fundamentally changed the way affordable housing is going to work in New Jersey. It formally eliminated the Council on Affordable Housing and created an affordable housing dispute resolution program in the judiciary, which will essentially act as the new COA. Another thing that the bill did was it stated in terms of our affordable housing obligation, and most relevant for this evening, it stated that the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs shall put together a calculation of municipal affordable housing obligations. And they were obligated to do it consistent with the methodology that was set forth in the Fair Housing Act. However, while DCA did do that work, it is actually not binding upon any municipality. So in the past, COA would issue affordable housing obligations, and that was it. That was your number, so to speak. But now DCA has, they've done similar work. They've issued the numbers, but it's incumbent upon every municipality to review those numbers and the data that went into it to make sure that it was essentially done correctly. And when I say correctly, one of the really important principles of everything that municipalities are doing this month is that any obligation that's cited by a town must be consistent with the Fair Housing Act. So we can't take a step back and say, you know, I think Lawrence's obligation should be 5 units, and we submit that to a resolution. The likely result is going to be that we will not have immunity from builder's remedy litigation. Instead, anything that a town does has to be consistent with the Fair Housing Act. And what the Fair Housing Act did, I can go into as much detail as folks would like, but typically affordable housing doesn't get that level of interest. They set forth about 6 different steps for calculating the affordable housing obligation. And it starts with what is the regional affordable housing need, the region which consists here of Mercer, Monmouth, and Ocean counties. And then from there, it takes that regional need and it allocates it to each municipality in those counties. And there are a few opportunities for interpretation and correction in that process. I would say when it starts at the top, it starts with calculating that regional need. That is very prescriptive in the Act. I don't recommend any changes to that. And to be honest, I don't know any planner or any municipality that is seeking to change that. And then there are 3 allocation factors that deal with the income in the community, household wealth, non-residential ratables, the number of jobs in the community, and then vacant land. For those first 2, jobs and income, that part of the methodology is also very prescriptive in the Act. And so I've cross-checked the data that DCA used. It is correct. And as a result of that, there's really no opportunity for interpretation. That final factor, the developable land factor or the land capacity factor, that is subject to a lot of interpretation. Now, what DCA did was they attempted to identify developable land in the community, and then municipalities, and this is what I did for Lawrence, are reviewing that developable land to see, frankly, is it correct? There are some cases, some clients I work with that have slashed that developable land to just a fraction of what DCA has indicated. Now here in Lawrence, I've done that same work and I don't have any dramatic change to it, quite honestly. So as I go through each of the parcels or the pieces of land that DCA has reviewed and identified as being developable, there are some things that I disagree with. There are around 16 acres that I think are not developable. And that I might be comfortable telling DCA or the judiciary that, but frankly, the result is that it has a negligible impact on the township's obligation. And so while I've gone through this review and have really done my best to see what opportunities there may be to reduce and to correct what DCA has done, the result is not a meaningful change to Lawrence. So more specifically, DCA has calculated a fourth round obligation, your affordable housing obligation of 25 through 2035, excuse me, that 10-year period of 320 units. The best I can do is to reduce that by up to 10 units. Now, for folks that are saying, well, 10 units sounds pretty significant to me, let me put another layer of information on that. Lawrence Township is a vacant land adjustment community. And that means that in the third round, and what you're going to end up doing in the fourth round is an admission that the township simply doesn't have enough vacant land in order to meet that entire obligation. And so, for example, your third round obligation was 1,110 units, for which the township was unable to meet because you don't have that much vacant land. And so what was done in the third round is you adjust that number down to reflect how much vacant land exists at that time. And we did that for your third round obligation. We're going to do that again for your fourth round obligation. So we're going to adjust that 320 unit obligation down significantly. And so that's why I say, even though it's 10 units, and 10 units is certainly not nothing, if you will, but in the context of a vacant land adjustment, I don't foresee any change in how your housing plan will be written. No change in the zoning, no change in the number of mechanisms that are necessary. And so as a result of that negligible change, that lack of impact, I recommend that the township accept DCA's number of 320 units. And really it's for a couple different reasons. One, it is because by accepting the DCA number, that is going to have a significant reduction in the likelihood of having an objection to what we submit. Because while the municipalities are submitting these resolutions during this month, the following month is the opportunity for people to object to what the township has submitted. By identifying the DCA number, I think we're very much reducing the likelihood of an objection. And if we don't have an objection, that means that our process will certainly be smoother, subject to less debates, potentially court activity, but also, and that's a time and cost savings, but also, I think more importantly, practically, it means that we have more time to plan for our affordable housing obligation, or for our plan. We have more time to focus on what it is that we're going to do rather than what the number is. And we have more time of certainty, knowing exactly what that obligation is, rather than potentially being embroiled in court to argue about it with various objectors. And so because of that advantage and the lack of impact to any change, I strongly recommend that the township accept that 320 units. And the last part of this is, I very much focused on what's referred to as the fourth round or the new construction obligation. There's a second part of our obligation that for every community that's referred to as a rehabilitation obligation. And it's a similar process. DCA calculated that number. The municipality is to review it and declare its rehabilitation obligation. DCA has calculated 68 housing units, and that's an estimate of the number of low and moderate income households that currently live in Lawrence that also live in housing units that are perhaps overcrowded or have substandard plumbing and kitchen facilities. So overcrowded or substandard units occupied by low and moderate income households. And that is solely based on census and American Community Survey data. It does not represent somebody driving through Lawrence Township and counting. Now, I do think that the data that the DCA used to calculate that number is consistent with the Fair Housing Act, and I don't believe that there is room for interpretation. However, for those 60 units, actually similar to the vacant land adjustment I cited for the 320, there's an adjustment process that the township can take advantage of in preparing its fourth round plan. If you think that 68 number is just too high, if you think that the township's housing stock is such that the 68 number could be reduced, and we can talk about that adjustment. And so because of the lack of interpretation, I also recommend that the township accept the 68 for the rehabilitation. But again, both of these obligations, the township is eligible to conduct a downward adjustment of each of them as part of its housing plan. And in terms of that fourth round number, that 320, that will essentially be my next task for you in terms of affordable housing, because that's a very critical piece of your housing plan. And so with that very, I think, brief overview, I'm happy to answer any questions about the resolution or about the process going forward.
Mr. Nowinski, would you like to add?
I can tell the council, like we met earlier today, Mayor, and I confirmed with you that Mr. Sypek and I have been in communication over the last couple of weeks and taking us through this process. And I don't want to speak for Mr. Sypek, but based upon our conversations, we are in agreement with the recommendation. And we believe that the number is negligible and we should not be pursuing it in the manner through a litigation process.
Mayor, yes, thank you. I would agree. We spent considerable time looking at both sides of the coin, so to speak. And I have to thank the planner for a very, very diligent effort in this matter, because this is a very serious situation that the township has to decide whether to accept or reject. And I think the planner's comments were right on point. This is really a de minimis amount to litigate over. I mean, we still have to file what's called a declaratory action to confirm our acceptance into the plan and give us a period of protection. And all this has to be done by Thursday. So we're on top of it, and on the basis that hopefully you will pass the resolution this evening. I've already been in contact with the clerk, who will send me a certified copy tomorrow, and we will move forward with the litigation. But other towns have decided, and I've talked to a number of municipal attorneys where the variation was much larger, 50, 60, 70 units, and where the land involved is highly questionable as to the inclusion in the plan. So we don't have that. So after, as I say, much research and a review, the planner and the manager and I have come to the same conclusion to move forward with accepting the plan as presented, and we will move accordingly, hopefully with our resolution, and move accordingly in the Superior Court of New Jersey by Thursday in this regard. And then, more will follow after that, but this is, I think, the first step for us with regard to the fourth round. So thank you.
Are there any questions from council?
Yeah, Mayor, I have one. Ms. McManus, thank you for your presentation. Really well done. I have one question. Actually, I have a couple questions. One is the 68 rehab number, is that also referred to as the present need obligation?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. They're sending next.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was good. And not to put you on the spot, but the vacant land adjustment, I remember going through that in the third round. Will that sort of the scale of what that vacant land adjustment might look like, not holding you to any numbers right now in terms of from the 320?
So I expect it to come down really very significantly. The 320 will be adjusted down to reflect, I mean, it's referred to, I guess, in the industry loosely as vacant land, and certainly that will be the case. But it will also be downward adjusted to reflect any new affordable housing development that has occurred or might be anticipated as part of the fourth round. But ultimately, that number, I can't give a number yet because we're not at that point, but yes, I anticipate it will be very significant.
Understood. And one last question. You mentioned that any affordable housing that is built, does that start from January 1 of 25? That would be counted towards this fourth round obligation? Anything that's sort of in the pipeline now, or how does?
It's certainly yes. Definitely anything that is coming. For projects that have received approval but were not included in the township's plan, I'm thinking about, for example, there's a project along Princeton Pike that received site plan approval. That project may or may not be part of the adjustments, but I would say that is a decision that will be dependent upon interpretation of the new Fair Housing Act, for which those interpretations are continuing every day as folks continue to read this, for better or worse, for worse. Unfortunately, just the lack of clarity is not very helpful to the state. But also, part of this is what I'd like to do is craft the township's plan in a way that is most advantageous to the township. And so that means that projects are looked upon and categorized in ways that are flexible and in ways that are where possible, most advantageous to the municipality. So I'm sorry that's a bit of a non-answer, but for anything future, it's definitely a fourth round for something that was unanticipated but approved. We're going to see how to structure your plan in a way that puts Lawrence in the best position.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mayor.
I don't know if it would be helpful just to give an overview of Lawrence Township's historical affordable housing, just to put in perspective that what we have as a township have accomplished.
Sure. So I know the township received, actually, let me answer a little bit more closely. I know the township has received a minimum two third round approvals of its housing plan, as well as second round approval. And I believe the township also received approval for its first round, but I would say it minimally goes back to the 1990s. Yeah, so compliance minimally goes back to the 1990s. In the third round, the Council on Affordable Housing issued rules in 2004, and I will say the township complied, and we were actually the first town to get approval from the state when that occurred. Unfortunately, those rules were overturned, so the victory was a bit short, but the township went on to participate in the court process that occurred after COA was found to not be functioning by the state. And so we got our third round approval and has enjoyed immunity for perhaps more than 30 years at this point. And not only that, the township has done what was minimally necessary to meet the obligation, but I would say it's also done so without problems and largely without litigation. And the distinction is there are a lot of municipalities out there that do get approval from the court or perhaps from COA, but then when it comes time to implement or perhaps do a little bit more of the work, that's when things fall apart, litigation ensues, and that frankly has never been the township's issue. You guys have always found a way to meet your obligation, receive approval from the court, and be able to really set yourself up nicely for the next round, which is exactly what I would say occurred from the third round into the fourth round.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think you're free to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With that, this brings us to our first opportunity for public participation. This is the 5-minute limit. If there is any, just come to the mic and seeing none, moving right along to the review and revision of the agenda. I don't believe we have any at this time, or
Councilman Bobbitt?
is there an adjustment to the agenda?
No, that resolution was already on.
Okay. All right. Okay, this brings us then to the adoption of minutes. I think we are still waiting on the 20th, right? August 20th, we need to postpone?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless one of you has listened to the tape. All right, with
But if
that,
we do, we could then do it.
I think so.
Okay, you can.
Okay. Duly noted, we'll take that into
All
consideration.
right, well, so I guess we will be skipping 8A. I'll make a motion to move 8B, closed meeting of June 25th, 2024.
I second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Okay. The awarding and rejection of bids.
Mayor, I'd like to move 9A, number 58, authorizing awarding of bid number 24-16, 2024 Drainage and Concrete Improvement Program to TC Landscape Construction Group.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Mayor, before we call the roll, can I ask Mr. Nowinski if there's anything he needs to say about the,
Just for the record, the bid was awarded, is to be awarded in the amount of $77,168.
Thank you, Ms. Nowinski. Now, to call the roll.
Any questions?
Or are there any questions in the audience? I'm sorry. Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bobbitt?
yes?
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Okay, now we're into the introduction of ordinances. Um, 10A, do we have, a reading?
We
We made a decision on 10A?
made a decision to move.
Okay. I will ask the council if we are going to make, a decision with regards to,
10.
tentatively bringing forward ordinance number 2482-25. An ordinance amending chapter 10, article 6 of the Lawrence Township Administrative Code, section 10-38, entitled Municipal Clerk, Deputy Municipal Clerk position. Is there a motion to move that ordinance? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to the second ordinance.
Mayor, I'll move 10B, ordinance number 2483-25, an ordinance amending chapter 435 of the Lawrence Township Administrative Code entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, addition of handicap parking space at 1632 Brunswick Avenue.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Before that, if I could just have a moment of clarity from Mr. Sypek with regards to ordinance 10A. Do we need to take some action with regards to either tabling that or
There's no, it's up to you. There's
action needed?
action needed. It wasn't moved and seconded. It's
dead?
It's
Okay.
it's dead as of
Okay.
now. I mean, it can always be brought back at a later date, but as of this evening, there's no action necessary.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sypek. Okay, with the motion and the second for ordinance number 2483-25, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Okay, now this brings us to the adoption of ordinances. Okay. All right. Seeing none? Okay. Are we now at the manager's report?
Yeah, the only thing that I'd like to report is that we are gearing up for our budget season. And next meeting is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. And we have scheduled 4 brief presentations to the council. Peter Kiriakakis will be doing his CFO report. I will be reading into the record the recommended budget. Keith Levine will be presenting for the health department, James DeFort for the building department, and Jack Oakley for fire and EMT. And then on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, the chief of police, public works, Greg Whitehead, and Nancy Bergen on behalf of the recreation department.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nowinski.
And I'll be meeting with the department heads tomorrow to discuss their presentations on what you guys are looking for, and we'll take it from there.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Mr. Syed.
Just briefly, Mayor, we'll be passing a resolution, hopefully shortly, authorizing me to file suit with regard to the Affordable Housing Act. That was the presentation we just had. This is a declaratory judgment in the Superior Court Law Division here in Mercer County that will ensure that with the Fair Housing Administration that we accept the numbers as presented, and that we will be given a period of protection against any challenges, litigation in that regard. So by passing that resolution, you're authorizing the township to engage in this litigation. This is after much review and research with the planner and with the manager as to our position. I think we're taking the right position. That such a de minimis change from 10 units, it'd be foolish in terms of time and truthfully just a lot of money to try to make that change. I had asked the clerk earlier for possibly a closed session on this, but I see no need for it. This is not really adversarial in terms of some litigation that we need to discuss in closed sessions. So with the passing of that, we will fulfill our obligation under the statute with the latest changes in the 4th round. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I ask a question on Mr. Sypek?
Absolutely.
Mr. Sypek, would that mean that we wouldn't need to go into closed session, or is
We
that?
do not need to go in closed session.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Well, I just have a few things here. So last week it was talked about the agenda. So I did make the agenda a little more clear under the PSAs, if you notice,
Yes.
for the public.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And then, as for the agreements, they can always do the inspection of that. And just so for the record, all PSAs, but which is professional service agreements or contracts, are advertised. That is the law. Okay, and they are for inspection in the clerk's office if anyone needs to inspect. Any resolutions are always available if they call our office. Also, boards and committees. That I know there was a problem. I was playing with the email one for the clerk, and I did alert our IT department about it. But you can pick up an application, email us. We can fax it to you, email, you can pick it up, whatever. We will make sure you get one if anyone wants to serve on the board or committee. Okay. And anything else? I think that's it.
And just to recap, so on the table this evening, we have some additional materials for the public if they'd like to have more detail with regards to any ordinances or materials that we have here at the dais.
And I do also have the DCA copies of that 4th round.
Okay, thank you
Anyone
so
wants
much.
a copy of it?
Okay, and so also what we're hearing is the DCA affordable housing that was discussed that we will be.
Yes, that's here.
really is also available to the public, if anybody needs a copy of that. Okay. Do we have any unfinished business? I don't think so, right? Yeah, all right. Under new business, we have the appointment of boards and committees. And I do believe the council is ready at this time to move forward on the committees on which we are the liaisons for. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we will, the best way to do it, I guess, is to go, do you want to go through each one or?
So what you do is you open it up,
Mhm.
and then whoever's the liaison to that board, they'll move it.
Okay.
Then we'll move to close, and
Mhm.
then we can have a roll call if you want to.
That would be good.
Is that okay?
That works perfect.
Okay.
Okay. No objections from council?
No objection?
All right. Then we will begin with the Affordable Housing Committee. I believe that's Councilman.
We don't have anyone at that time.
Don't have anyone right now for the existing vacancy as alternate 2. So I will jump to Environmental Resources and Sustainability Green Committee.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to reappoint Noemi De La Fuente to a full term, Ms. Dion Folk to a full term, and Mr. Michael Mierney to an existing unexpired term ending 12/31/25.
Okay. So if those, so we're going to do it at the end.
Okay, you can do it at the end if you
All
want.
right. I just wanted to, should I go through each one?
Mhm.
I just want to, cable and telecommunications, what are yours, Councilwoman? You do?
Right now, we don't have anyone to fill the vacancies. We are still actively looking for people so that we can.
Okay. Construction Board of Appeals? Don't believe that. Okay. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, we do have, fill-in for Daphne O'Gara, and there is also the student, Shanira, after she will continue on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Board. For Ewing, Lawrence, and Sewage Authority, we have, Councilman Kanaki, did you want to address that today?
I'll address it, I'm not the liaison, but,
Oh, okay.
we have one application, Steve Zagorski. I missed the interviews, but I do recommend Zig to fill that seat. And also want to ask Art, you can stop me if I'm doing wrong. I'd like to have John Ryan removed from ELSA as a liaison. He's not performing his duties, and it's hurting ELSA. So I know that will have to be discussed next month.
That's up to council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be for council. Tonight, we're only discussing the addition of
I
the
just want
applicant.
on the record,
Hmm.
because it hurt us today. We had an ELSA meeting today, and by him not being there, hurt Lawrence
And perhaps,
quite a bit.
okay, we probably need to have that discussion,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is the first I'm hearing of it, so,
I want
yeah,
to bring it out so people know.
okay. So Councilman Bobbitt and Councilwoman Perry and I did interview the applicant that, submitted the application for ELSA today. Do we need to, we are fine to
We're ready
move
to
on to
appoint.
point.
Councilman Ballard?
Pardon, I missed.
We're all ready to appoint, yes?
Yeah, I thought we were going through all of them again.
Mhm.
Well, did you want to appoint, are you appointing, Mr., you have to say whether you're appointing or not, yes?
We will let, you should, enter that because you were the,
I did, I
ELSA.
recommend Zig
Okay.
Zagorski.
All right, so there we go. All right, then to the next committee, which is growth and redevelopment.
So for growth and redevelopment, we are, I am reappointing Jeremy Ryan, who's an incumbent, and Alan D. Sicali. And also, adding in Mr. Garcia, Humberto Garcia.
Thank you. Health Advisory Board. Okay, that's not the person's on here. Okay, we will,
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not hear me? No, sorry.
Other than the mayor.
Okay, so for
Bobby, we can hear.
Thank you.
For growth and redevelopment, we are reappointing the incumbent Jeremy Ryan and the re-incumbent reappointing, Alan Sicarli. And additionally appointing Mr. Edward Garcia to the growth and redevelopment committee.
Okay. Next is our health advisory board. The liaison, I don't believe is here this evening. So being that there is only, there is a one interested reappointment, we can move to, reappoint, Brielle Easton to that board. And now for historic preservation, of which I am the liaison. I don't have children. Reappointing Douglas Sargent and appointing John Pavlik, who are both incumbents. Moving on to the Municipal Alliance in Drug and Alcohol Abuse. Let's see. Okay. Don't believe the liaison is here, but council, if you're in agreement, we have one interested reappointment who is an incumbent, and that is Kelly Moody. So we can make that. For the planning board, at this time, I'm actually gonna hold off on those reappointments. We need to have some discussion. But the two, I'm sorry, let me correct that. The two incumbents who are still interested for reappointments, we will reappoint. That is Alan D. Sculio and Leslie Sibia. Public safety.
For public safety, I am reappointing Ron Dimanish and Michael, forgive me, Berzacchillo. Forgive me, Michael.
Okay. Recreation and Advisory Committee, Councilman Kanaki.
I have, three incumbents, Maria, Nick, and Becky, I would like to reappoint. And for my last spot, I would like to appoint Keith to fill the fourth vacancy that's open.
You don't have a key on there.
Kenneth Bevington at the bottom.
Is it Kenneth? Okay.
Kenneth, I meant.
Mhm.
Okay, I
You
don't
said
have
Keith, okay.
Kenneth. That would fill all spots, all 11.
Okay, move right along. Rent stabilization, I don't believe we have anything there at this time. Senior Executive Committee. That's you, Mr. Kanaki. Senior Executive?
Dude, I don't have the right.
Okay. Okay, Shade Tree.
I don't have any people to nominate right now.
Okay. And Trails and Open Space. I would like to reappoint the three interested incumbents, that's Paul Larson, David Mazenko, and Laura Lynch. And also received a new application from Michael Marion, so we will add him also to the board. Zoning Board of Adjustments. Okay, that liaison also is not here, but council did interview one applicant this evening, and I believe we're prepared to move forward with that. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Bobbitt, would you like to make that?
Yeah, I'd like to move Ms. Sigalakis to be reappointed to a full term, as well as to appoint Mr. Cohen to a full term as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that takes us through all of the current boards and committees. And now, Madam Clerk, if we can have.
I'll call the full roll.
Call the roll. Thank you.
All right. So you're just gonna have someone to move? I mean, I guess
We need a
y'all all
motion.
moved.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Make a motion to move all the
In block.
In a block.
in a block.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to move all the nominations that we've heard just now in a block.
Okay.
And I'll second.
We have a second. Thank you very much. So with the motion and second, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
we're-
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes,
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes, and if I could also add, we appreciate the public's willingness and commitment to serve on all of our boards. We know the time commitment and the expertise and knowledge that many of our residents bring to our board. So I just want to thank publicly. All right, thank you. Okay, this brings us now to the next and final opportunity for public participation from the public at 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Greg Liddy. I was hoping to hear the budget address tonight. And I'm just curious, and maybe the mayor can check the council. Our code says that 32-11, submission to Township Council, on or before the 15th day of January in each year, the manager shall submit to the council his recommended budget together with such explanatory comment or statement as the manager may deem desirable. So is that correct?
We did receive from the manager the schedule of how the budget hearings are going to go forward, but the actual budget.
This is the code. It says he's supposed to present the budget tonight with his explanatory statement.
Okay.
So
It may be because.
is this correct? Is that correct? Can you just don't.
Yeah, I will take a look and I'll ask Mr. Sybeck, but we did have an addition to our meeting this evening to include the affordable housing presentation, so that may have taken precedence because we're on deadline for the 31st, but I'll let Mr. Sybeck address that.
I understand it, yeah. So maybe you could address it now?
Well, I think it is, I'm sorry. I believe, I don't have the code in front of me, bear with me, but I believe that language is in there, but I think there is some flexibility usually afforded by council to the manager on this. That's really a decision of council to enforce or to give certain flexibility on that. We did not anticipate having the presentation on the affordable housing situation, which took some time, but it's really up to council how they want to handle that. In that there's always some flexibility due to exigent circumstances for presentations. But you're right, Mr. Lee, that without having it in front of me, I believe that is the correct language.
No, I just wonder if it's a violation of our own code, that's all.
There
It
was,
doesn't seem unreasonable.
I will make, the last meeting, you did adopt a resolution that extended those dates.
Yeah.
Because the local finance notice came out. So the dates were extended so that it gave that flexibility.
That's what I thought, okay, recall.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
So just for the record, we will begin our budget reviews at our next council meeting, February 4th.
Could you please sign in?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Now the thing that.
Your name, please.
Oh, yeah, Thomas Littlejohn, 15 East Dare Lane. So I would just like to say, I really do appreciate, Municipal Planner Beth McManus coming out and giving her presentation about the 4th round affordable housing obligation. Now, the thing is that I was just wondering where I could possibly find some more information about this piece of legislation because, as a 26-year-old individual, I'm very much interested in, eventually someday having, property of my own. And, not just property that I rent, but like properly owned in my name and everything. So I was just trying to see where I could find the documentation about this legislation, just so that I could look into it more and to basically, see how, basically just get, so I wouldn't say like a spark notes, abridgment of it, but like, just sort of where I'm able to find that, the documentation on the legislation.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead, please.
And that's, I think if you were to Google the New Jersey Fair Housing Act, you would find tons of information on it. Also, I would suggest you go on New Jersey League of Municipalities website, which is, for all the municipalities in the state of New Jersey. There is a whole section on the Fair Housing Act. You go to the Department of Community Affairs website, New Jersey Department of Community Affairs website. There's also a section there on the Fair Housing Act. You can just pick and choose what you want to read, and the New Jersey League of Municipalities site also has all the towns by county, what they're doing, the resolutions. Ours will be on there as of Thursday or Friday, and you can see what's happening, not just in Lawrence, but throughout the whole state. It's very informative. I commend you for your interest in it. Some of it is tough reading. It takes a while to get through it, but there is a lot of information readily available. And as I say, the change in the law that occurred in March of 2024 had much written about it. So I would suggest any of those sources. You'll go down a very deep rabbit hole on any of them. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if I could just add, we do have an affordable housing committee, and that is open to the public. And if you want to know more specifically about Lawrence Township and what we're doing, you're welcome to attend those meetings.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no additional public comments, we'll close public participation at this time. We have bond resolution, so authorizing, we can have a reading of the resolution.
Mayor, if there are no objections, I'd like to move 18B1 through H5 in a block.
Okay, if there are no objections, do I have a second?
Second.
Do we need any explanation? No. Okay. Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Council initiatives and liaison reports. Who wants to go first?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm very happy to report that the Public Safety Subcommittee has received 7 bids for our RFP for our fire safety. We will be meeting next month to proceed on reviewing them and then coming back by the end of March with our recommendations to council to move forward.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other reports? Okay. I can report that the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee did meet this month, last week. And we're in the discussions of hosting a workshop with the Civil Rights Commission with regards to knowing your rights. So the DEI committee is currently working on that for the public. And I also just want to extend, I've also had some conversations with regards to some uneasiness that may be being experienced with members in the general public with regards to immigration. And the Diversity and Equity Committee is also looking to perhaps do some work in that realm to provide some education for our community with regards to those concerns. What else? Anything else? Is there anything, Mr. Konecki, that you can share about ELSA? You did have a meeting earlier today. I know you had some concerns.
Council Board had a meeting today. It's in draft form, so I can't talk much about it, but we are very, very close to settling the problem with DEP. They're agreeing to our 5-year program. We're agreeing to what they're saying has to be done. There's some other problems we gotta look into and figure out because it took longer to get to this point than we thought. So the I-Bank, we gotta ask them how that's gonna work and how soon the project we could get it going. We took a vote today to get ready to put the bids out because with the pipe work that's gonna come through this township from 4th Street over, 4th Street pump station has to be a lot bigger and more bigger pumps and everything else. So we'll be putting a bid out on that. With DEP though, with the permission we gave Bob Filler today, they can reach back out to DEP within the next day. DEP will then, if they want to say yes to everything that, or we agree to everything they said, as long as they don't change no language, as soon as February 1st, we would have the okay to start hooking up again. It all depends what comes back from DEP though. This paperwork will be in DEP's hands no later than Thursday.
Okay.
And we should hear something from what they said with the draft. We should hear something very, very soon. It does look, finally, it looks positive. But then, like I said, 4th Street's another whole story that we're gonna start looking into what it's gonna do as far as coming through our township. It's a lot of pipe work, a lot.
So thank you for that, Mr. Konecki. I know I discussed in our meeting earlier today with Mr. Nowinski about having Mr. Filler come in and talk with the council once again and give us some more clarification and updates on what's taking place. So we're expecting that probably in February at some time for Mr. Filler to come in before council.
Yeah, we've yet to receive the budget for ELSA.
Okay, so we'll be looking at budget and
Once that's received, it's usually the time when we ask you to come in to discuss it.
perfect. Good.
Oh, Mayor, I was gonna ask that very question of Mr. Nowinski if he was gonna discuss the budget as well, and its impact on Lawrence's budget, but he answered my question, so thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Any other updates? Okay, we're early in the year. For written communications, do we have anything, Madam Clerk?
No.
Okay. And as was stated in the beginning of our meeting, we will not have an executive session this evening, so we can get back to our warm moment. Do we have a motion for an adjournment or any other additional comments from the council?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Thank you for coming out. We appreciate your.
This cold weather.
You know what? I was
Yeah, we only have to get that.
I think so. Very accurate.
All right.
Okay, dear. Okay.